danfo driver's prophecy. Lagos never sleeps. The streets hum with life, hawkers shouting prices, car horns blaring, and the occasional siren wailing through the congested roads. But for Baba Depo, a struggling danfo driver, the city's chaos was just another day of survival. His boss, a battered yellow Volkswagen, had seen better days. The paint was chipped, the seats were torn, and the brakes squealed like a goat in distress. Yet, it was his lifeline. Every day, he picked up passengers from Oshodi to Oberland, weaving through traffic, dodging last-mile officers, and haggling with conductors. But one fateful morning, everything changed. The old man at mile 2. It started with an old man. Baba Depo had pulled over at mile 2 to pick up passengers. Among the crowd was a frail-looking man in a faded Ankara outfit. His eyes were cloudy, his fingers bony, and his presence unsettling. As soon as the old man stepped into the bus, Baba Depo felt a strange sensation, a tingling at the back of his head, as if an invisible hand had touched him. He shook it off and continued driving. The old man sat quietly, watching Baba Depo through the rearview mirror. When they reached Oberland, he was the last to leave. But before stepping down, he placed a hand on Baba Depo's shoulder. "Your eyes will open, son. Use them wisely." Baba Depo wanted to ask what he meant, but the man had already disappeared into the crowd. That night, Baba Depo had the strangest dream. He saw faces, passengers he hadn't met yet. He saw flashes of their futures, some joyful, some tragic. He woke up sweating, convinced it was just his tired mind playing tricks on him. Until the visions started coming true. The first prophecy. The next morning, as Baba Depo drove along the 3rd mainland bridge, he glanced at his side mirror and saw a young woman boarding his bus. Instantly, a vision flashed before his eyes. He saw her sitting in a hospital waiting room, crying into her hands. A nurse approached her with a sorrowful expression. Baba Depo blinked, shaken. He turned to look at the woman. She seemed fine, her bright pink dress and cheerful face didn't match the sadness he had just witnessed. His heart pounded as he hesitated. Should he warn her? By the time he gathered the courage to speak, she had already paid her fare and stepped off at Marina. That evening, he watched the news in a roadside booker. The headline chilled him to the bone. Tragic accident at CMS, young woman loses fiancé hours before their wedding. The picture on the screen was her. Baba Depo dropped his spoon. His hands trembled. The old man's words echoed in his mind. Your eyes will open. The weight of knowledge. At first, Baba Depo tried to ignore the visions. But day after day, they came, stronger and clearer. He saw a young boy who would win a scholarship but would have to choose between school and taking care of his sick mother. He saw an elderly man who would unknowingly board a faulty ferry at Mokoko, never to return. He saw a pregnant woman whose baby would be stillborn. Some of the visions were good. Some were devastating. And Baba Depo realized something: he could change things. Testing fate. One evening, at CMS, he picked up a secondary school student carrying a battered backpack. As the boy handed him a crumpled 50 naira note, Baba Depo's vision flashed. He saw the boy dropping out of school, forced to sell pure water at traffic stops. Something in Baba Depo snapped. When the boy reached his stop, Baba Depo called him back. Oya, come here. Wetin be your name? Musa, sir. Musa, no drop out of school, you hear me? No matter what, fight for your education. The boy looked at him, confused. Sir, I no understand. Baba Depo sighed and pressed some money into his palm. Use this to buy books. I see something in you. Promise me you go continue school. Musa's eyes shone with gratitude. I promise, sir. Baba Depo didn't know if he had changed the boy's fate, but something in his heart told him he had done the right thing. The warning. As weeks passed, Baba Depo used his gift to help where he could. He warned a woman not to take the 3rd mainland bridge one morning. Later, a terrible accident killed dozens on that route. He advised the struggling tailor to invest in a small shop instead of gambling his savings. But he couldn't save everyone. One night, he picked up a man dressed in a sharp suit. The moment the man sat down, Baba Depo's heart sank. He saw the man lying lifeless in a gutter, blood pooling around his head. A robbery gone wrong. Baba Depo clenched the steering wheel. Oga, you dey go where? Surale. Baba Depo hesitated. Should he tell him? Would the man even believe him? As they approached Surale, Baba Depo took a deep breath. Oga, I beg, no enter that street today. Find another way. The man frowned. Why? I just beg you, sir. E no go end well. The man scoffed. Driver, I beg, mind your business. He got down. Baba Depo sighed heavily. A few hours later, the news reported an armed robbery in Suralaya. A businessman had been killed. It was him. The price of the gift. That night, Baba Depo sat in his empty bus, staring at the steering wheel. His gift was a blessing, but it was also a curse. He could see the future, but he couldn't always change it. He thought of the old man, the stranger who had given him this power. Why him? Why now? As he started the engine, a new thought crept into his mind. Could he see his own future? He hesitated, then gripped the mirror and stared into his reflection. A vision hit him like a slap. He saw himself driving down a dark road. A truck's headlights flashed. A horn blared. His bus spun out of control. Then, darkness. Baba Depo gasped, his breath coming in short, sharp bursts. His own death. His hands shook as he gripped the wheel. He had seen many fates, but this was his own. And for the first time since it all began, Baba Depo realized, some destinies could not be changed. Epilogue. The next morning, Baba Depo didn't take his usual route. He stayed home, ignoring the urge to drive. By evening, he heard the news. A danfo had collided with a trailer on the same road he had seen in his vision. The driver didn't survive. Baba Depo exhaled shakily. Maybe he couldn't change everything. But today, he had changed his own fate. Please, if you watched to this extent, kindly do well to subscribe to my channel. Thank you. See you some other day.